Okay, so I've got a video here of a swing change made by one of my clients, Alex. On the left is Alex's golf swing during his assessment lesson when we're just taking a look at things, and on the right is his golf swing once we've had a couple of lessons and made a couple of changes, which I'm going to talk through here. So as you say, on the left, taking a look initially at Alex's swing, this is just with a mid-iron. Had sort of good setup, good fundamentals, good backswing, getting the club into a nice position there. But where he was running into a few problems was on the downswing here. Alex would initiate his downswing with a big lateral movement of his lower body. Now you do want that lateral movement, but Alex was just doing it a little bit too much. And what this meant was as he starts the club down, as he's coming into the downswing, we stop it here, we can see what's happening. He's getting his hands and the club very much stuck behind his body. So his arms and his body weren't in sync together. What this meant was that through the impact area here, Alex was using his hands quite a lot to square the face and try and get the ball on target. That was just causing a little bit of inconsistency, because if he used the hands a bit too much, didn't time it right, he could get a hook going left, or he could also get a sort of a push shot out to the right if he didn't use the hands enough as well. Or if he timed it just about right, he could get the shot on target, but there was too much inconsistency there with the dispersion. So essentially what we needed to do was get Alex's arms and his body synced up so that the body can control the club face as opposed to using the hands to control the club face through impact. So the first thing we did, you can't really see from this angle here on the right, but we actually changed Alex's posture. Alex was stood quite close to the ball, very upright, and what this meant was that if we're in trying to get the arms synced up with the body, it can be difficult to do that if you stood too close, because essentially the body has to get out of the way to be able to swing the arms through. So the first thing we did, as I say, just got Alex stood a little bit more athletic, a little bit further away from the ball, just so his arms can hang down naturally. From that position there, he's then creating room to be able to have the arms synced up with the body, as I say, as opposed to having to get the lower body out of the way. So that was our first move, just that slight change in posture. And what we did from there, we'll take this up to the top. Didn't change the backswing at all. Backswing is absolutely fine, as you can see, a very good position. And what we did with Alex was just one really simple thought to help get those arms more in sync with his body. And you're going to see a big improvement here. Just this one sort of swing thought, this sort of transition move from the top, meant that as we come down here, Alex's arms got in front of his body and more in sync, so then his body can control the club face coming through. Now if we compare this position to the one on the left, I'm going to see much better position. So on the right here, we can see how he's got his hands there, sort of just coming over his right thigh, more in front of his body. Where if we look, on the right, if we look on the left, we're going to see his big slide of the hips, slide of the legs on the lower body, and you can see there he's got his hands and his arms behind his body. So from this position here, on the right, he's then able to come through right at impact. You see there, very, very good position. So he's got his left wrist sort of slightly bowed, nice and flat, really good position, nice square club face. Again, if we compare this on the left, you see much different position. See how he's got an angle there between his left forearm and the shaft of the club. He's got a bit of flexion in his left wrist because the hands are essentially more active there on the left. The hands have taken over, and that's what was causing, as I say, those that dispersion shots going left and right. So I'd say much better impact position on the right here. He's literally just turning his body, and the pivot of his body is controlling the club face as opposed to his hands. As I say, allowing for much more consistency. What I like as well in this picture, I'm just going to point out his right foot, because you see here on the left, before the swing changes, his right foot was coming up off the ground at impact. Now there's nothing wrong with that, lots of very good players do that, but in this case it meant that Alex was early extending a little bit at impact, so coming out of his posture to try and get that club face to square up. Whereas on the right, you can see it's sort of a bit more of a roll of the foot stayed flatter on the ground. What that was meaning here for Alex, that he was staying in his posture better at impact, wasn't early extending as much, which is again helping to control that club face and helping get a slightly more consistent strike as well. So as you can see here, some really good changes made just from a simple setup change and just a simple thought in the transition, really helping to get the club, the arms more linked up with the body, use the body to control the club face as opposed to having to time it with the hands.